Good evening, everyone. Today is our 61st Sutta discussion, and in today's Sutta discussion, I will be covering a sutta called Kalyāṇamitta. Kalyāṇamitta Sutta deals with uh, Kalyāṇamittas and how much Kalyāṇamittas mean to us uh, in our spiritual journey. First and foremost, I want to share with you that our spiritual journeys can go alone without Kalyāṇamittas. I would continue to use the word Kalyāṇamitta so that you will understand. This word has has a super meaning about what it really means. It's not just a good friend. I would say a wise friend. So what's the relevance and what's the importance of having a wise friend for our spiritual journey? So this is the most important thing. And before we moving on to the sutta, sutta's name is Kalyāṇamitta. I would like to say, maybe I will put out a question for you. Have you ever thought about Kalyāṇamittas? Have you ever thought how much Kalyāṇamittas matter to you in your spiritual life? That's a great question. By the end of this sutta, you may understand that in order to be succeed in your spiritual journey on the path to Nibbana, you really need Kalyāṇamittas. Without Kalyāṇamittas, it is so incomplete. Okay, and because we did a sutta about diligence, appamada, last week, this sutta also emphasizes appamada at the end. How it emphasizes is that the purpose of having Kalyāṇamittas is to lead your life to appamada. So this is one of the best, I would say, the most requirement for anyone to improve in one's journey to Nibbana. Otherwise, you won't be able to practice appamada. So having a good number of Kalyāṇamittas, or wise friends, at least a wise friend, will keep you really consistent and will really keep you so strong about the path. Okay. With that in mind, let's go on to the sutta. It's a bit a long sutta, but I will try to kind of like summarize some points in the middle of the sutta, but at the moment I will keep reading the sutta. Sāvattiyang ekamantang nisinnoko raja pasenadi kosalo bhagavantang etadagocha. That means at Savatthi. Savatthi is the capital city of the state Kosala. So as I said last week, the capital city of Magadha was Rajagaha, while the capital city of Kosala was Savatthi, where Buddha spent at least 24 years of his time being the Buddha. So at Savatthi, seated to one side, Ekamanta Nisino, King Pasenadi said to the Buddha, Ida maihang Bhante raho gatassa patisallinassa evang chetaso parivitakko udapan. So this is kind of the same thing that we know in the previous suttas that Buddha had when the king was present. Just now, sir, as I was in private retreat, this thought came to mind. Swakatu Bhagavata Dhammo Sochako Kalyāṇamittassa Kalyāna Sahayassa Kalyāna Sampavankassa No Papa Mittassa No Papa Sahayassa No Papa Sampavankassa. The meaning in English: The teaching is well explained by the Buddha, but it's for someone with wise friends, companions, and associates, not for someone with bad, unwise friends, companions, and associates. Now, you need to keep something in mind. In most of the suttas that Buddha had conversation with the king Kosala, what Buddha, so the abstract, the gist of the sort of like a proposition of that day, the topic of that day, was approved by the Buddha. So that means king is the one who presents his version of the truth. In this case, it's about the wise friend and how they relate to one's spiritual journey, one's journey into Nibbana. And the king says that he knows that the teaching of the Buddha is well explained. And a lot of people say now the Buddha's teachings are timely, and it's not timely. It's universal, akaliko. So that's why it's well explained. I know some of the issues that have come up, in the last few decades. They were primarily from trying to, discuss most of the transcendental teachings of the Buddha in a kind of a timely context, so that sometimes the teachings were kind of distorted, pervasively distorted, because they didn't have any thought of like understanding Buddha's teachings are universal, and it's not specifically for one time. Although we have to like describe like in a way that is suitable to the time, but we have to be very careful without to do that without distorting the essence of the Dhamma. So, anyways, the king says, the teaching is well explained by the Buddha, but it's for someone with wise friends, companions, and associates, and not for someone with unwise friends, companions, and associates. So that means the king said to the Buddha that he thinks this teaching is for the wise people and not for the unwise people. Okay, so he uses a couple words: Kalyāṇamitta, Kalyāṇa Sahaya, Kalyāṇa Sampavanga. So these are three types of individuals, and I would tell you the difference. Mitta is a friend, Sahaya is a companion. So when you say a companion, he or she is more than a friend. And an associate could be someone you know, but you are not into that person that much. But you can kind of recognize, but you are not that much into that person. So, anyways, these kinds of people, be that a friend, be that a companion, be that an associate, one has to find out these individuals in a wisdom format. So you have to look at wisdom format, wisdom context. When you look for a friend, when you look for a companion, when you look for an associate. So king thinks that this teaching is not for them. This teaching is for Kalyāṇamittas, Kalyāṇa Sahayas, Kalyāṇa Sampavankas. This teaching, the Buddha's teaching, is for wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates, and not for the opposite. And Buddha approves. How Buddha approves? Eva metang Maharaja, Swakatu Maharaja, Maya Dhammo, Sochako Kalyāṇamittas, Kalyāṇa Sahayas, Kalyāṇa Sampavankas. No Papa Mittas, no Papa Sahayas, no Papa Sampavankas. So the Buddha said that that's true, great king, that's true, said the Buddha. And he repeated the king's statement. And the Buddha repeated the statement, the same statement. And then what happened? Buddha was adding something really interesting. Let's take a look at that in Pali. Eka midahang Maharaja samayam sakhesu viharami Nagarakam nama Sakyana Nigamut. Atako Maharaja Anandu Bhikkhu Yenahang Ten Upasankan. Upasankamitva Mang Abhivaditva Ekamantang Nisi. Ekamantang Nisinno Ku Maharaja Anandu Bhikkhu Mang Etadapucha. Upadhamidang Bhante Brahmacharyasya Yadidang Kalyāṇamitta Kalyāṇa Sahayata Kalyāṇa Sampavanka Evam Uttahang Maharaja Anandang Bhikkhu Etad Vocham Mahevang Ananda Sakala Mevahidang Ananda Brahmacharya Yadidang Kalyāṇa Mittata Kalyāṇa Sahayata Kalyāṇa Sampavankata Kalyāṇa Mitta Setang Ananda Bhikkhuno Patikanka Kalyāṇa Sahayasa Kalyāṇa Sampavankasa Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bhavissati Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bahuli Karissa Titi. It's pretty interesting here. So the interesting point here is Buddha was telling the king a story that happened between the Buddha and Venerable Ananda. Let's take a look at that story in English. Great king, this one time I was staying in the land of the Shakyans, where they have a town named Nagaraka. So Nagaraka was the town, if you can remember, the town that King Kosala started going to see the Buddha on his last time to see the Buddha with Digakara and his minister. That was his last visit to see the Buddha. So Buddha was staying in the land of Sakyans, where they have a town named Nagaraka. And Buddha was staying there at that time. Then the Bhikkhu Ananda came to me, bowed, sat down to one side, and said, so Venerable Ananda sat down, bowed down, sat down, and then asked a question. Said, good friends, companions, and associates are half the spiritual life. Now, Venerable Ananda was telling the Buddha that he thinks that Kalyāṇamittas or Kalyāṇa Sahayakas and Kalyāṇa Sampavankas, they all make up a half of our spiritual journey, right? That's what he said to the Buddha. When he had spoken, the Buddha said to him, not so Ananda, good, wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates are the whole of the spiritual life. Now, think about the point. The point is that they don't make up a half. So they are everything. So your spiritual journey is fully, it's fully indicative of wise companions, wise friends, and wise associates. You can't say they just make up a half of your journey. So that means without Kalyāṇamittas, we won't be able to fulfill this journey. So that's what it says, right? Now, whether we have Kalyāṇamittas already or not is a different question. We have to, deal with that at the end of this talk. So the discussion. But keep in mind, in the sutta it says that having Kalyāṇamittas, wise friends, or Kalyāṇa Sahayas, or wise companions, and Kalyāṇa Sampavankas, that means wise associates, they make up the whole. They make up they make up everything. They make up the whole of your spiritual journey, the path to Nibbana. Not even to the path to Nibbana, but also in your secular life, in becoming a better person. Now, somebody may ask, in brief, who is a wise friend? Who is a Kalyāṇamitta? There are different delineations, definitions in the suttas. I would define a wise friend this way, without going, too much further. A wise friend is a person who can show you the reality of uh, sansaric life. So he or she is a wise friend in this context, right? So if there is anyone who can really help you figure out your life uh, and realities of your life, she is a wise person, right? But I think this person who is showing you the path, the reality and the path to understand that reality should be a person who practices sila, samadhi, panya as well, virtue, um, concentration, and wisdom. Because without practicing those, there is no other way to understand the reality of the life. Okay. On the other hand, in most of the other suttas like Sevitabba, Sevitabba Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, it says that a wise person is a person who always thinks wholesome thoughts, who speaks wholesome words, and who acts on wholesome action. So that's a clear cut definition of a wise person. In this case, a wise friend or a wise companion or a wise associate. Okay, uh, but when you are living in a society, in a kind of a world where there are a lot of people who might not be Buddhist, I would say this wisdom and this wise Kalyāṇamitta could be someone who can show you the reality of your life and help you figure out your life. Uh, I mean, that way, that would be the best way to figure out a Kalyāṇamitta. Okay, so Buddha says the Kalyāṇamittas, wise friends, Kalyāna Sahayas, wise companions, Kalyāna Sampavankas, wise associates. They don't make up the half of our spiritual journey into Nibbana, but they make up the whole. They uh, uh, you know they are the whole of our spiritual life, and you can like ignore them. That okay, I can go by myself on my spiritual journey. I can meditate. I can do whatever the good things I want. You can do them, but you must have Kalyāṇamittas. Otherwise, you will be, you know, you will get wrong. You might be on the slippery slope, or you might get mistaken because you need some good counseling, good, proper advices at some points that you may have not ever seen. Anyways, and then Buddha adds something else. Not even that we all have to understand that wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates make up the whole. But also, there is something really interesting. Why do we need these people? Why do we need these wise friends, wise companions, wise associates? Why? The reason Buddha says in here. Yadidam Kalyāna Mittata, Kalyāna Sahayata, Kalyāna Sampavankata. Kalyāna Mitta Setan Ananda, Bhikkhuno Patikanka. So we all should expect these wise people in our spiritual journey for us. Kalyāna Sahayas, Kalyāna Sampavankas, Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bhavisati. Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bahuli Karisati. I think you get the point. You get the word called Noble Eightfold Path. But let's see how it was given here. A person with wise friends, Kalyāṇamittas, companions, wise, Kalyāna Sahayas, and associates, Kalyāna Sampavaka, can expect to develop and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. So that's the most interesting thing to understand. So without Kalyāṇamittas, wise friends, wise companions, wise associates, you would not get motivated. You would not get empowered to think about Noble Eightfold Path. So that's the main thing. So as I said earlier, the role of having a wise person, wise companion, wise associate is to drive you, towards the noble eightfold path. Not even that, can expect to develop. The Pali word we find here is bhavesati, aryang attangikang maggang bhavesu, just to develop the path called noble eightfold path. Not even to develop the noble eightfold path, but also bahuli karisati, to multiply the efforts, to multiply the commitment towards the path is done because you have the wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates. So basically, the need that we have from wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates is help us, direct towards the noble eightfold path, as well as help us figure out different ways, like multiply, our efforts towards the noble eightfold path. Okay. So now you get the point why we need the the wise friends and wise companions, as well as wise associates. Now let's dig into how this path, noble eightfold path, is being leveraged by the support from these individuals. Katancha Ananda Bhikkhu Kalyāṇamitta Kalyāṇa Sahayo Kalyāṇa Sampavanko Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bhavit. So Buddha himself questions. Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bahulikaru. Idhananda Bhikkhu Samma Ditting Bhavit. Viveka Nissitam Viraga Nissitam Nirodha Nissitam Vassagga Parinam Samma Sankappang Bhavit. So the repetition, but we have to take the same way as it was in the previous one. Samma Vacham Bhavit. Samma Kammantam Bhaveti. Samma Ajivam Bhaveti. Samma Vayamam Bhaveti. Samma Satim Bhaveti. Samma Samadhim Bhaveti. Viveka Nissitam Viraga Nissitam Nirodha Nissitam Vassagga Parinama. Evanko Ananda Bhikkhu Kalyāṇamitta Kalyāṇa Sahayo Kalyāṇa Sampavanko Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bhavit. Ariyang Attangikang Maggang Bahulika. Now you know the rubric. The rubric point here is the vantage point. So the vantage point here is that when you are surrounded, when you have wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates, and you know now that it's easy for you to practice, develop, as well as multiply the path to Nibbana, which means the noble eightfold path. So it bifurcates, So here Buddha bifurcates, the need here. So on one side, development; on the other side, multiplication of your commitment. So now in here Buddha talks about the methodology of how it happens, how these wise friends, associates, and companions help you. Let's take a look at that process, how it happens when you are with them. And how does a person with wise friends develop and cultivate or multiply the noble eightfold path? How does it happen? It's when a person develops right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, which rely on seclusion, fading away, and cessation, and ripen as letting go. So I have some issues with some English translations here, but I will explain to you. So now you understand the eight components of the noble eightfold path were given here. So what happens is that when you are with the wise friend or wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates, they help you develop the noble eightfold path. You know that the Pali word for so Pali word that you understand by right is samma. So I would rather say we can use wholesome, because right is kind of a word people bifurcate, in their normal jargon. I would rather say wholesome. So wholesome view, samadhi, sama sankap is wholesome thought, sama vacha is wholesome speech, sama kammat is wholesome action, sama ajiva is wholesome living. You can't say livelihood. It could be kind of a job, like a profession. Sama vayam is wholesome effort. Sama sati is wholesome mindfulness, and sama samadhi is wholesome concentration. So they all have this kusala layer in it, right? Not that right and wrong. Right and wrong is pretty much kind of a legal jurisprudence language word. You have to sort of find out what kind of a context that you're going to talk about with right. So I would better use sama wholesome. So, anyways, now what happens, because this particular person who has wise friends, companions, and associates, uh, you know, getting influenced and getting motivated, encouraged, empowered by these individuals, this person is moving on to, accelerates, develops, and multiplies the 8 components of the Noble Path. Under which context? So this is the most important. A lot of people say, okay, I practice samma ditti, samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kamma, samma ajiva, samma vayam, samma samadhi. And they know each component. Sometimes they even know samma ditti should be the main perspective, but they never know how to practice this consistently and in which aspect, in which specific context they have to practice. So that's what Buddha says in here now. We all need to practice Noble Eightfold Path with these aspects. Let's take a look at those words. Idhananda bhikkhu samma dittim bhav. So let's take one components of Eightfold Noble Path, samma ditti. Viveka nissitang, viraga nissitang, nirodha nissitang, vasagga parinami. So when we practice Noble Eightfold Path, we need to practice each component with these aspects. So we have to use these aspects when we practice each component. Let's take a look at what these words are all about. Viveka nissita. So what is Viveka? So Viveka simply means, somebody might say my spare time, leisure time, could be Viveka. But in here, I would go onto the commentary. It says, Vivekoti vivittata. Vivittata. What is vivittata? Seclusion, private time. A lot of people think that the private time here means, when you call it by this particular term, private time can mean that you go into your room and you lock your door and then you just stay inside your room. It's not the private time in here, seclusion here. So vivekoti, because that's how Buddha says to practice Noble Eightfold Path. It doesn't mean you can practice Noble Eightfold Path by just going into a room and just like close it, lock it. It's not the way. Vivekoti, you will understand how it's explained here. Vivekoti vivittata, vivittata chayan tadanga viveko, vikambana, samucheda, patipassati, nissarana vivekoti panchavidu. Now the seclusion, in your own terms, I would translate private time, is 5-fold. Tadanga viveko, that means you are in seclusion, you are taking your private time to temporarily withhold these mental dynamics, unnecessary troubling thoughts. Vikambana is a step further, like you are enhancing this withholding. Samuchcheda is the complete, uh, you know, cessation. Patipassati, kind of a, kind of a, destruction of your mental dynamics. Nissarana vivekoti panchavido. So nissarana is like letting go, kind of stuff. So there are 5 types of seclusions. So I would translate viveko in this context, seclusion. Seclusion simply means private time. That doesn't mean you go inside a room, you lock your door, close your door, and then you stay there. No, you can do that if you want. But here, seclusion basically means you try to make time for yourself, especially to think, to do an introspection, to do a reflection about you. This is what you need. So you may not need to go inside a room. Even you just stay outside your room. Even you may be outside your house. You may be at work. If you have a free time, that's your private time. That's your seclusion. Then you can kind of figure out who you are and what you've been doing so far, and whether you're finding your meaning of your life, and whether you are heading towards this meaningful something in your life. So that's what it says, seclusion, viveko. So then Buddha says one has to practice each component of the noble eightfold path in seclusion. That means every day you should give some time for yourself. It's a private time to think about, to do an introspection about you. Whether am I, um, whether my thoughts are okay, are my thoughts are okay, are my perspectives are okay, are my words are okay, is my is my way of living okay, is my effort wholesome? This kind of an approach, introspection approach. So that's what it calls viveko. So when you practice each component of your, when you want to practice each component of the Noble Eightfold Path, you must give your private time, like a seclusion, and then look into these aspects. Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Kammanta, Ajiva, Ayama, Sati Samadhi. So without this seclusion time, private time, you won't be able to succeed. So why Buddha is talking all these things? Your wise friends, wise companions, wise associates help you to move on to this direction where you think that you need to introspect. You need to give private time, a seclusion, to look into your words, your thoughts, your actions, your whatever other words, so and so forth. To think, to see. So that's the first aspect when you want to practice a Noble Eightfold Path. First, give some time, like a private time, for your all the components. Okay, check all the components, 8 components, uh, in seclusion. Second, viraga nisitam. Okay, dispassion. Like every day, every moment, we are trying to be passionate. Yeah, that's good. I mean, if you are, uh, you know, uh, developing, if you are growing in a passion, in a job, you need to be passionate. But when it comes to your internal mental dynamics, especially into the noble eightfold path, you need to be dispassionate. You can find passion in the noble eightfold path. So always maintain dispassion, not passion. I mean, keep up your passion towards your professions, but when it comes to your spiritual journey, don't keep up passion. Keep up the dispassion, because that's how you will do better in practicing noble eightfold path. So seclusion, viveko, dispassion, viraga, nirodha nisita. Nirodha, cessation. Where do we find out this word called nirodha? We find out nirodha as a response to tanha, craving. In the Four Noble Truths, we know Nirodha is a word in the third truth, noble truth. So that truth, the noble truth, is given in response to craving. So you should understand that your approach towards these 8 components is a wish towards cessation of your craving. One day you need to think that one day you will attain nibbana. So that cessation is your approach. So when you practice Eightfold Noble Path, you need this cessation mentality, dispassion mentality, seclusion mentality. Okay, not even these 3, but also Vassagga Parinami. So Vassagga Parinami means it's a pretty interesting term. Ripen as letting go. So you have to enrich yourself. You have to, um, you know, uh, you have to bring yourself to a place you are ripened in a way you can let go of things. So letting go mentality. So I would kind of like brief these 4 actions, these aspects. Um, I would say, so when you want to practice these 8 components of the Noble Eightfold Path, you need the seclusion perspective, you need the dispassion perspective, you need the cessation perspective, and also you need the letting go perspective. So you need to have these 4 perspectives before you move on to any of the component of the Noble Eightfold Path. All this happen because you have wise friends. They encourage you, they motivate you, they help you figure out. Okay. And interestingly, there's another thing. Buddha says, now this is the first methodology where one gets influenced by the wise friends, companions, and associates for the path. But there's another way to see how the wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates help you, in terms of attaining Nibbana today or one day. Let's take a look at that. Tadamina petang anand pariyayena veditamba yatha sakalame vidang brahmacharyang yadidang Kalyāṇamitta Kalyāṇa Sahayata Kalyāṇa Sampavankata. Okay, so there's another way to do that. Let's take a look at of the other paragraph to see how it was given. Mamanghi ananda Kalyāṇamitta agam jati dhamma satta jatiya parimucchanti. Jara dhamma satta jaraya parimucchanti. Vyadi dhamma satta vyadina parimucchanti. Marana dhamma satta maranena parimucchanti. Soka parideva dukkha domana supaya sadhamma satta. Soka parideva dukkha domana supaya sehi parimucchanti. Imina koti ananda ko etang ananda pariyayena veditappa. Yatha sakalameva hidam brahmacharyam yadidam Kalyāṇamitta Kalyāṇa Sahayata Kalyāṇa Sampavankata. Now, Buddha gives a very interesting example. Now, he says that take for instance me, Buddha. I'm the best, I'm the wisest friend that you all have, the followers, monks, nuns, and everybody, all of you out there. Because of me, because you have me. What happens to you? What can happen to you? Not always people take this in the same way. What happened to people who really, really want to follow me exactly on what I put out there? For by relying on me as a good friend, wise friend, sentient beings who are liable to rebirth, all age and death, to sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress, are freed from all these things. This is another way to understand how wise friends are the whole of the spiritual life. So because individuals, like whoever in the world, whoever in the universe, rely on the Buddha, considering him to be the wisest friend, the wisest companion, wisest associate, they get the immediate benefits of the spiritual journey in making them being able to figure out their life and free them from the samsara. So think about. So on one side, or in our personal spiritual life, on the journey, we have to figure out how we can make wise friends, how we can find out them, how we can get influence with their actions, words, and thoughts. On the other hand, this particular methodology, we all have that because we all can read, we all can listen, we all can not even listening or reading, we all can have a perfect time, ideal time, opportunity to put all these teachings to practice. That is because we know the best, wisest friend, and he is the Buddha. So see how Buddha explained that in a very nice way. So because of the Buddha, because of him, people could understand the, the rebirth, old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress. So all that people can understand, right? So because we could understand the Buddha, we could learn the Buddha's teachings. Okay. Okay. Now then, what happens now? Going back to the conversation, Buddha then advises the king this way. Now the Buddha wanted to advise the king in terms of his thoughts and for his expectations, wishes. Tasmatiha te Maharaja evam sekitappa. Kalyāṇamitta bhavisami Kalyāṇa sahayo Kalyāṇa sampavam. Evam hite Maharaja sekitappa. Kalyāṇamitta te Maharaja Kalyāṇa sahayasa Kalyāṇa sampavam. Ayam eko dhammo upanisaya vihatappo apamado kusale sudhammo. As I told you at the beginning, having wise friends, companions, and associates make a very big deal in our spiritual journey for a particular reason, to help us move into appamada. So that's what we call to be the goal. So when you are into appamada, it will take care of everything. So we need wise friends, companions, associates, because they influence us to practice Noble Eightfold Path so that we are into diligence or vigilance, called appamada. So appamada is the most important uh, virtue that we all can have. That's what I delineated in the last Sutta discussion, last week. And Buddha says this way, so great king, you should train like this. I will have good friends, companions, and associates. That's how you should train. When you have good friends, sorry, I would say wise friends. I will have wise friends, companions, and associates. That's how you should train. So Buddha asks the king to train his retinue, his everyone in his capacity for this wisdom. When you have wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates, you should live supported by one thing: diligence in skillful qualities. So that means, this particular, uh, ability to be with a wise person helps us to achieve or direct towards diligence, appamada, which is really important for all the skillful activities. And then what happens? When the king wanted to do that, this will happen to the king. Appamattasa te Maharaja viharatu appamadan upanisaya Kalyāṇampi itthagarasa balakayasa negamajana padassapi evam bhavisati raja ku appamatto viharati appamadan upanisaya handamayampi appamatta vihara appamadan upanisaya. When you are diligent, that means when the king is diligent, supported by diligence, appamada, your ladies of the harem, aristocrats, vassals, troops, and people of town and country will think the king lives diligently, supported by diligence. We would better live diligently, supported by diligence. So everybody is happy who is under him. So they all live diligently because they all have this wise friendship, wise companionship, wise association thing factor. So they really work for all of them. Not even that. Appamatta satte maharaja viharatu appamadan upanisaya attapi gutto rakito bhavisati. Ittagaram piguttam rakitam bhavisati. Kosa kothar garam piguttam rakitam bhavisati. When you are diligent, supported by diligence, appamada, then not only you yourself, but your ladies of harem and your treasury and storehouses will be guarded and protected. So they all are taken care of. And then at the end of the sutta, there are two verses, stanzas. Bhoge pattayamanena ulare aparapare appamadang pasansanti punya kiriya supanta. For one who desires a continuous flow of exceptional wealth. This is kind of on a secular advice. The astute praise diligence appamada in making merit. Being diligent and astute person secures both benefits. Appamatto ubhovatte adiganhati pandito. Ditte dhamme jayo atto yo chatto sampara. Attha visamaya dhiro pandito dipaucha titi. The benefit of in this life and in lives to come, a wise one comprehending the meaning is called institute. So basically, now don't get confused that we wrapped up the sutta discussion by talking about diligence, because the reason is you can really move towards the diligence part of your life. That's the most interesting, most important goal in our spiritual life. Only when you have wise friends, wise companions, and wise associates. Without them, you won't be able to do that. So now, before we finish this part of the conversation, I would like to say, um, finding a wise person can be a hard thing. I think some of you might have been already blessed with wise individuals. I mean, as I told you, by definition, wise person is a person who can really help you figure out the reality of your life and can help you figure out the realities. And this person should be a person who is practicing Sila, Samadhi, Panya, Virtue, concentration, and wisdom. On the other hand, if you don't have a wise friend, companion, or associate, you need to find out someone like that. Uh, I mean, first of all, as in the second methodology of finding someone like that, you could definitely say the Buddha is your wise friend. But other than the Buddha, you may need someone who want to talk to, who you may need to, uh, you know, uh, learn something from someone, especially from a wise person. You need to do a research. So this research should include kind of a definition this way. A wise person is always speaking good words, thinking good thought, which you can understand when that person is talking to you, and doing good actions, wholesome words, and wholesome thoughts. And find out such beings. It may be a little harder, but at the end you will find at least one person. For the moment, if you don't think you don't have anyone like that, you can keep the Buddha as the wisest person, wisest friend, so you can follow his teachings. Okay, so it's time for questions. Over to questions. So for those who are on YouTube Live, I would like to ask them to post their questions in the live chat. For those who are in the Facebook, I would ask them to post their questions. I'm here to answer. And let's take a look. So you can ask any questions about how to make a wise friend and why wise friends, companions, or associates. Basically, wise friends, how much they influence your spiritual journey in understanding, in realizing Nibbana, in liberating yourself, as well as the impact of wise friends to your path, Noble Eightfold Path, and finally to diligent factor. Let me read some of the. If there are any questions? Okay. So it's time for anyone to pose a question. I'm here to answer about this topic. So before someone is writing a question or something like that, I would like to say that this sutta is mentioned in the Samyutta Nikaya, Kosala Samyutta, so 3.18, Kalyāṇamitta Sutta. Oh, looks like there are no questions at hand. That means you may have understood quite good, and I'm happy about it. And even if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer too. Okay, so before we wrapping up this, I would like to say that this Wednesday on 20th, May 20th, from Ottawa time, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And for those who are watching from Malaysia, it's going to be from, I think your time will be 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. On May 20, Wednesday. And for those who are watching from the other parts of the world, they can see on the YouTube live that has been scheduled that I'm going to be discussing some pretty interesting, topics that are really interesting topics. With a professor in Thailand. So, and the topic that I and him going to be talking this Wednesday will be how to die mindfully. I mean, it's a pretty interesting topic. So, if you are free, if you are available, you can join with us on Paṭisota YouTube channel. So, if you can go into the YouTube channel, and there is the sections of the videos, and under Dhamma Pariyesana section, you can see the video schedule. So you can set a reminder and you will get notified. And in that conversation, it's going to be not like a Dhamma talk, it's kind of a discussion, both academic and non-academic. So you may ask questions. That's a full-on space for everyone to ask any question about how to die mindfully, this perspective, any question regarding mindfulness, death, and so on and so on. Okay, so I think it's time to wrap up this. We normally share good karmas with the deities and the uh, one more thing. I think there's a question popping up here. Okay, but need to be okay. This is a good topic, but need to be beware of those who pretend to be friends, but they are your enemies. Yeah, I mean, you have to be always, careful. Sometimes people who might pretend that they are wise people, so you have to use your, smartness and all that uh, without suspecting too much, but try to understand who they are. Okay? So may all the good karmas we've been collecting so far be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me jnati nang hotu, sukhita huntu jnatiyo. Idam me jnati nang hotu, sukhita huntu jnatiyo. Idam me jnati nang hotu, sukhita huntu jnatiyo. Also, let's share all the good karmas with the deities and nagas who protect all of us. May all the deities and Nagas, and we have to always say, not even the Devas, but also the Nagas who protect all of us, may all the deities and Nagas, Devas and Nagas, share in all these good karmas. May they be happy and peaceful. May they protect all of us, the whole universe. Still, the situation is not that good. May uh, may they bless for good health and all the good things that everybody needs, every being needs in this universe. May the Nagas and Devas be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammehi samritam punya sampadam. Sabbe deva anumodantu, sabbe bhuta anumodantu, sabbe satta anumodantu, sabbe sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummattha deva naga mahindika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu lokasasanam. Chirang rakhantu desanam, chirang rakhantu mang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating so far help all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadanasilisse nityang baddha pachaino chattaro dhamma vaddhanti ayuvannu sukham balan ayurarogya sampatti sadha sampatti me vache ato nibbana sampatti iminati samidujatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Stay safe and have a good night. Take care.